This is the bouquet we'll be making today. I'm making this bouquet as part of a series called Citrus Bliss because this bouquet is going to go along with a centerpiece that includes real oranges, lemons, and limes. There's just something so invigorating about the scent of citrus, and so I thought it would be fun to make a whole series that is reminiscent of those fruitful colors. So just take a look at these oranges, yellows, and hints of white. And I really do hope that you all enjoy the tutorial today. The prominent flowers in this bouquet will be the gerbera daisy as well as the sunflower. In addition to those, we will have some Mexican marigold. We have yellow daisies over here, and we'll just put a splash of some white chrysanthemums. We have some asters. We also have some of these bicolor carnations. And then let's talk about the supplies that we'll need. I have pruning shears to cut the flower stems, some floral tape to hold the stems together. I have some of this beautiful orange ribbon with some gold edging, scissors, of course, to cut the ribbon, some hot glue to secure the ribbon into place, and then some corsage pins. I'm going to start off with a sunflower because sunflowers, it could be either the sunflower or gerbera because they tend to have side-facing flowers, and we want to select the one that's upright because I want to have an even distribution of the flowers throughout the bouquet. So let me go ahead and take a look here to see what is most upright. Okay, so this sunflower is fairly upright, so that will probably be the center. And then let me go ahead and select a gerbera. Now the gerberas that I have today are fairly upright as well, which is good. But sometimes you do want those that are side-facing since this is a bouquet and some of those flowers will be side-facing. So the gerberas have these sleeves on them, these plastic sleeves, because the stems typically are a little bit more flexible or not as strong. So those help to keep the gerberas more upright. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave them in here because by the time other flowers are put on, you won't even notice the sleeves are on there. And I think I like it where the sunflower is slightly above the gerbera. Okay, let's add some of these daisies here. When you're adding on the daisies, you'll see there are some side-facing flowers, and you want to direct those to the side of the bouquet. You'll notice that I am holding the flowers kind of at a pivot point here and allowing the stems to spread out. And this is necessary because these flowers are wide, between the stem and where their blooms are. So that allows for the space between each of the flowers. And I'm going to go ahead and put some floral tape on here just to help with keeping everything together. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of white. And then to balance out the white on this side, I'm going to go ahead and add some of these chrysanthemums onto the other side. Chrysanthemums are very similar to the daisy, so I'm going to switch it around where the asters are against the yellow daisies, just so I have a little bit more variation as far as textures go. And see how it's very spread out and the stems here are very splayed out. And that's what allows for the bouquet to have this rounded shape so that all the flowers aren't smushed together. And so at this point, I will add some more floral tape to keep things where I'd like them. So now I'm going to fill in on this side, and I think I'd like to add a gerbera. And since this is the side, I'm going to try to see if there's a gerbera that's more facing forward. See how this one is slightly facing forward, but I think there's another one over here that is even more forward. Let's see. That one's sliding. This one is bending slightly more forward. So that's what I will be putting over here. And as you place these flowers on, you want to try to take note of the dome shape of the bouquet. And as you're using the floral tip, you want to pull on it slightly to stretch it because that allows the adhesive to come out. Okay, and now I think I'd like to add some carnations. Try to look for a larger bloom or a branch with more flowers. So these are a bit, this last stem down here is going to be below where the ribbon will be. So I'm going to go ahead and snip it. Then being that it's still a fairly long stem that can reach into the water, I'm just going to go ahead and stick it right over here. And I'm going to start trying to cover up this plastic over here on the gerbera by adding these carnations right next to it. And then I'm pulling off any leaves that are going to be below the ribbon because we just want some nice clean stems. And I don't want the carnations to be hidden underneath like this, so, and actually, let me go ahead and a good trick to allow more space is to add greenery. So I'm going to add some of these leaves here. See how they're very wide? So I put them right in here. Allow them to peek out the top about an inch. And these are going to be below where the ribbon is, so I will go ahead and snip these off. But some of the longer stems, maybe you can use them in a boutonniere, so we will go ahead and save some of these. Do you see how the leaves help to cover up the gerbera stem? And it also creates kind of a buffer between in this empty space here so that we can add some carnations. You really want to pay attention to the side here. So we are pretty much deciding that flowers should fill in the whole space here. And that's what I'm doing with these carnations right now. And at any point where you feel that the stems are just getting a little bit unwieldy, go ahead and secure it with the floral tape. Okay, so now I'm going to try to work on this side. And I think I'm going to add a side-facing sunflower. And see how the sunflower is naturally bending over to one side? I think that'll work nicely over here. And then maybe putting in some of these Mexican marigolds on this side. And sometimes I like to just put a couple of them together. Add some interest and draw attention to them. At this, and it looks like it needs more color over here, so I will add another sunflower. And maybe I'll put the sunflower over here because I think I want to also share this space with a gerbera daisy. This gerbera is on the outside and these stems are fairly thick. I think I will remove the sleeve on this one just so it's not as noticeable. And it blends in better with everything else. I'm noticing that the Mexican marigolds are on this side, and to balance it out, I'm going to put one on the opposite side. So we'll just keep on filling in the sides, keeping the rounded shape in mind. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue filling in the sides with the same techniques that I mentioned earlier. We have our bouquet. So this is it. And well, the next step is to put on some ribbon, but we should go ahead and cut the length of these stems all down to the same size. So when I do this, I like to think about how the bride will be holding the bouquet. And since this is such a hefty bouquet, I mean, look how thick these stems are. I imagine she'll hold it like this. And I usually like to leave a couple of inches below. So that would mean to right about here. And then if you notice anything that is sticking out like this, go ahead and make it nice and smooth. So what I mean by that is I'm just gonna chop off that top part where it branches away from the stem. Now let's talk about ribbon options. As you notice, because these stems are so splayed out, you really can only get a ribbon that will fit right into this base. So small ribbons will be fine. I'd say anything up to 7/8 of an inch. Today we have a 1/4 inch ribbon. And I like to start the ribbon so that it is at the bottom of where I would like it to be. And I also try to start the ribbon in the back of the bouquet. So if I'm looking at this bouquet, I am going to say that I like this side the best. So this is going to be considered the front of the bouquet. So the back of the bouquet would be here, and that's where I would start the ribbon. And when you're coming around for the first time, make sure that the overlapping ribbon does cover that first ribbon so that there's nothing sticking out on the bottom, because we want it looking nice and neat. And then as I'm wrapping, I'm also making sure that I allow an even amount of space between the rows, because I like to have it consistent looking. The front side is done, and I'll just go ahead and wrap it one more time because I'm seeing that there's tape in the back and I want to be able to have a layer that covers it. On the back side of the bouquet, I'm just going to put a dab of glue and then secure the ribbon in place. So I'm just going to use the rest of the ribbon to hold on and then press where that glue dot is. Okay, and then after that, just snip as close to the little glue dot as possible. There you go. We have a completed bouquet.